Hey, this is Magic, and I'm from IT Nation Connect Global Event 2025 in Orlando, and I'm talking with Sean. And he's an extremely popular person here. I've seen him many times, always with a bunch of MSPs around him, because you are in charge of this PitchIT contest.
Well, more than that, actually. I'm the VP of IT Nation Community, so all the vendors, all the partners, their experience, their happiness, all falls under my team. And
You see, I talk only to the important guys.
yes, I don't know if I call myself that important. I'm a mere servant of the people.
No, a lot of people come to you, and I see that you have a lot of conversations with them. And I was really very interested because when I went 2 years ago and 1 year ago to the PitchIT finals, what I've seen was the finalists were more about technology. I think this is the first time that I've seen two finalists talking more about the business questions and the business content of the MSP work. It's a shift.
Yes, it is becoming a shift, right? Most of these vendors that are in the competition, small vendors especially, they focus heavily on technology because ConnectWise, like the PSA and RMM, have always been the mothership, right? That is the business conversation usually, right? Because that's the established core business, right? And every other one becomes an extremity. So they focus on features because they focus on feature and technology because they want to say, this is how we connect into ConnectWise. This is what we do with ConnectWise, which is a very smart conversation to have. However, MSPs struggle from this and vendors alike. Even with that said, they all struggle with really what they're there to talk about, which is the real value. The value is, and you saw yesterday's winner with Strategy Over, the opening of his presentation was, he kept talking about freedom. Freedom for time, freedom to make the money you need to make, freedom to go do things you want to do. And then he said, let me tell you how we do that. And then it became a business conversation.
But he also focused, and there was one more presentation about it. They were focused on. They shifted the conversation from a technology discussion to a business discussion, which I believe, maybe wrongly, that is very much aligned with what I've heard yesterday in a keynote presentation. That the MSPs have to shift their focus from just a pure technology conversation more into the helping the customers solve their business problems.
1,000,000%. It's always been that way. They just didn't realize they should be doing it. That's a fact. So the problem, and we know this to be a problem, an MSP is not a technology provider. An MSP is a technology partner. They're supposed to be, you should see yourself when you talk to your clients as the VCIO or the CIO. You should represent as one of the executives in that boardroom because that company is relying on you on their future forecasting and investing of what they have to do. So you should be there representing that department, not being the outside person, not a salesperson, right? And in that case, think about it. If you ran your own company today, if you had a person that is your CIO or your CTO or your CISO, you don't ask them what technologies they are. You don't even really ask them what they really do. And you don't do a deep dive in what they do. You just say, make sure we're protected. Make sure our business systems are operating and running. Make sure we don't have outages. That's all you ask, right?
You want, as the CIO, you want to be part of the business conversation, how the business of the company is improving, and how you can contribute to this business. As a CIO. The same should happen for MSPs.
1,000,000%. You're supposed to be that person. That's why they're relying on you. They're busy running their business. They don't have to worry about the segment of business they hired you for. That's your job. So you're supposed to just tell them what they need, and they're supposed to pay the bill.
I think even more, you should tell them as an MSP how technology can solve the business problems that the customer has. Not only take care of a technology, you need to actually use this technology as a competitive advantage tool.
You're absolutely. Let's use Microsoft. They're the best example. Being in sales most of my life, I loved Outlook. Once I had Outlook for the first time, and I can organize myself with folders, and I could do all that. That made my life easy. Business operations was good, right? I hated SharePoint. And if anybody tells me they love SharePoint, they're lying, okay? Unless they were a SharePoint consultant. They love it then. But otherwise, we all hated it. But then COVID happened and Zoom came about, right? Zoom was crushing everything. Then all of a sudden, Teams. And the thing that Microsoft did so well is they turned Teams not even just into a communication piece, which was great that they did, but they turned Teams into the 365 offering, which became your business operation platform, right? Now, how many MSPs should be telling their clients, let me show you the power of Microsoft 365. Let me show you how you can work off of that and do all things you can do. Now, this is how it makes you, you can automate things. This is how it takes away some of your workload. Oh, by the way, SharePoint, which we all hate, you can now use it through Teams. That makes it easier to use too now. So now you have a documentation system. So you don't have to pay for another one, by the way, because there's already one in your package you bought with the license. So there's so many different variables, and it makes your business more efficient. Now, we can go down the whole path of talking about other technologies and how they automate and should help their business grow, because there's a shit ton of them, right? And they should be doing that too. They should be teaching them how to use technology to A, solve their internal operational issues, B, how to solve their clients' operational issues. That's what they should be doing.
That's a good guidance, and I totally agree with you. The moment Teams became the communication center, it has completely changed, and it also made it extremely difficult to migrate off Teams to another platform, which is what the actual, if you do give advice to your customers and you provide the technology in so many different ways and so many different business processes, you embed yourself into how the company operates. It's going to be much more difficult for the company to get rid of you.
100%. MSPs have to stop being we solved this many ticket company. They need to be the trusted technology partner to them. They need to tell them how to do their business and operate more efficiently, effectively. And this is why they avoid QBRs, because that's when they need QBRs, but they want to avoid them because either you're going to put an account rep on there to sell them more stuff, which the client gets annoyed with, or you're going to go in there and talk about the amount of tickets you resolved, and that's what does the client care about that? They don't care. They just care they're in business still, right? And so it's not the right conversation. If they start taking that conversation and turn into, again, this is an executive boardroom. I'm coming to do a QBR, but I'm coming as the CIO, and we're going to talk about all these things, talk about how your business has grown because of us. Now, it's a whole separate. Now it's a business conversation only. It's not a ticket conversation. It's not a sales conversation. It is a business conversation. And if that business conversation leads to talking about tickets, because you got to say, guys, if you do, you're going to end up having a sales conversation anyway. So you're like, you're having all these issues because you guys don't do this and this. You need to buy this, or you need to hire this kind of person. That's what it turns into, regardless. But it is a business conversation first.
AI is going to further amplify that.
It has to. It already is starting to. And MSPs better get on board. And you hear all the horror stories. And yesterday they were talking about the amount of jobs being lost. I disagree. Jobs aren't going to be lost. They're going to be evolved. Okay? I'm not sure what your age is, but we're probably not too far off in age. You're probably a lot younger by 5 or 6 days. No, but at our age group, remember, our parents worked in the mills. And that was the high-paying job, right? The mills started to go away, right? And you remember when technology came about, and all of a sudden they're like, remember Y2K was happening, and developers were making so much money it was god awful. I was like, how? And so then they became the white-collar work jobs, right? But now what happened? They're now the blue-collar jobs. The same thing is going to happen here. You're just going to have to refine your skill set.
I actually believe that the AI is going to increase the number of jobs over time, because it's going to shorten the time between people having an idea and starting a company and making the company operational and starting to hire new resources and new people.
I can't disagree with that. It's very possible, because not only will it help them to amplify their time frame, but also it's going to make it more cost effective to do things that they typically would have to do by outsourcing for high dollar amounts. Now you can buy a technology for a fraction of the price of hiring an agency to do all that stuff.
And that's why Microsoft was today on the stage talking about $777 billion of SMB total addressable market, where MSPs play super important role.
Yes. So Microsoft, when they came to talk to us some years back about let's have this partnership, the one thing, I think we all know, and this was the question I asked, and at that time, I said, the MSPs don't like you anymore, Microsoft, because you kind of did them wrong. What are you going to do to change that? Because we at ConnectWise, we're a partner-only organization. So if we're going to get in bed with a notoriously bad embed person with them, right? And we have to know. And they said, we've come to realize that these MSPs are the true implementers and integrators of our products. They are the ones that are going to help us get to the level we want to get at. So we have to fix that.
Yes, and MSP is going to be a fantastic channel for that. Let's go back to the PitchIT, okay? If people have a great idea, and maybe we should talk about PitchIT. Can you describe what a PitchIT contest is for those out there that don't know the concept?
Absolutely. So PitchIT is a Shark Tank-like competition. It is where we look for startup vendors that, and this isn't that you have an idea. This is you have a working business with clients that support the MSPs, whether you're selling to them, selling through them, or both. It's all we're good. The goal is to make sure that you already do this. We accept between 22 to 26 vendors every year, and it's a global competition. Last year we had six companies between Europe and ANZ, with the other 20 being in North America. And they're all competing to become 3 finalists. And to be able to, as one of the 3 finalists, you get a free booth here at IT Nation Connect Global. And we have a finals for you all. You compete live on stage, the 3 of you. The best company wins. First place takes $70,000. Second place is $30,000. Third place, we make the joke. We have Marvin B. does his podcast. He brings steak knives. He does every year.
I think it's a great concept because it will allow ConnectWise and everybody that is part of this program to have a little bit of a peek into the future of where the MSP industry is going.
I couldn't agree more. Again, I mentioned before, ConnectWise is a core product line, and we're always looking for the future of what's going to happen. And these vendors, they represent innovation. They always do. Every new product is created from necessity, and that's where innovation comes from every single time.
What I found amazing is that there were so many vendors that either were MSP or are still MSPs.
Yes, we have found that over 60% of our accepted participants were or are MSPs. A lot of them were born out of Evolve peer group, and the best and the best and the worst part about them is that they were MSPs because they built it. It's a necessity. They kept working on it. They were solving their own problem. So they really made a good product. And then they told their friends in their groups, like, hey, check out this thing I did. And they're like, oh, yeah, Joe, I have the same problem. Can I use that? Sure. So they start, so it's all organic, right? It's all organic growth. The problem that they have, like I said, that's the blessing, right? The curse is that they don't know when to flip the switch to say, nah, I got to charge for it. And I have to charge the right amount of money for it too, what it's worth. That's the struggle piece they have because now they're talking to all their friends in their peer groups. So they're just giving it away for free. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, guys, I can't keep supporting this for free. We've got to, and then all of a sudden the conversation turns into a business conversation, which remember, MSPs are bad at business conversations.
I've been to 3 IT Nation Global, IT Nation Connect Global. I've been to 1 in Europe. Always find it extremely powerful, there is just a great energy here. How do you guys make it?
Whew. It's not just us. Personally, there was a time when I was going to leave the industry. And a good friend of mine was like, why? You like these people. This industry is amazing. And he reminded me like all the reasons why. And I'm like, shit, you're right. I'll stay. So I stayed. The reason why I'm saying that about myself is because it's not us doing it. It's the collective doing it. We make sure on our side, we try to lock down everything we can to make it as a seamless involvement you can have. like Disney World, right? They try to give you a good experience by trying to get rid of all the noise, right? We try that. That's what we do, and we invite everybody. That's all. We clean our room and we invite our friends over. That's what we do. It is truly the MSPs, the vendors. They're in lockstep with each other because again, a lot of them were MSPs, so they're all friends. So really, the energy is from the people. I mean, we had the Goo Goo Dolls; they were great yesterday, right? We have the Canines for Warriors as a philanthropy, and it's fun. It feels good, but it's all these guys and these men and women are walking by. You got people that've been in this industry for 30 years. I've been involved with IT Nation events for 15 years now, sponsoring them, being an MSP with them first. So I was like around doing it, and that was great. But you got guys longer than me, and you got new guys that are coming in that are learning. So it's like literally, it's the collective. It's great energy, and everybody's just good people.
Sean, thank you so much for inviting me to the event. Thank you for finding time on your busy schedule to talk to me. And I'm looking forward to all the next IT Nation Connect events.
Oh, likewise. And it was a no-brainer to invite you. You're such a positive influence on my life, Magic. As soon as I saw you in London, you had that smile right there. You're like, hey. It was like we had a bromance instantly. And so there was no way I wasn't going to have you around. And Dan Scott messaged me, he's like, hey, we got to get Magic together. I was like, oh, shit, we do. Literally started getting all this stuff ready because honestly, people like you make this thing happen for us too. So I appreciate you coming all the way over with us.
Thank you so much.